Hello, good afternoon. I am MFR and thanks for making time with us on News Today. Our headlines is Ghana's political space is under scrutiny as high filing fees and campaign costs continue to block women and youth from contesting in elections.
How to reviewing the constitution to give the Electoral Commission more powers to be able to function in some of the ways we expect.
Now, 8 terror attacks recorded daily across Ghana's neighboring countries. Government set up efforts to confront what it describes as the grim threat of terrorism.
On the average, there are 8 terror attacks every day in our region. That on the average claims 44 lives.
The government is optimistic about restoring access to concessionary financing and accelerating public investment as it prepares to exit the International Monetary Fund program before the end of 2026.
One of the most friendly concessionary financing is that which comes from the Korean Economic Development Corporation Fund.
Plus, the Education Minister cut short for the construction of new ICT and science laboratories at the Pope John Senior High School in honor of the late Defense Minister, Dr. Omane Boamah.
We will build an ICT science laboratory here and name it posthumously after Dr. Omane Boamah.
And Joy FM Big Workout returns with aerobics push to fight lifestyle diseases. We'll hear from the Roads Minister, who is giving his full support for the event. We're live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Joy News, independent, fearless and credible. Please stay for details. First in the news, the Member of Parliament for Pandai, Matthew Nyindam, has opened up about the grueling ordeal he endured over the past year, not just in the courts, but also from some senior members of the majority in Parliament. The controversy over his eligibility was recently settled by a Supreme Court 4-1 ruling, which determined that the High Court case that had declared his seat vacant was filed beyond the mandatory 21-day period. Following the judgment, Nyindam revealed that his struggle extended beyond legal battles as some senior colleagues reportedly vowed to use every means to remove him from the House. He also shared how the experience will impact his relationships with fellow lawmakers.
A lot will change.
Tell me.
I'll be more calm than before. People that I used to talk to, people that I thought were all together, I've seen that it's not the same.
Explain. I thought you said everybody supported you. Not everybody.
Not the minority side.
Oh, you mean the NDC side? Okay.
It's not going to be the same.
Expand on that for me. What did they do? What happened there?
I don't know. You see, we are colleagues. We are all members of Parliament, and we all know how we struggled to win a seat in Ghana's Parliament. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And for you to deliberately decide that, look, I must get my colleague out of Parliament for no reason, I find it difficult. Because I don't know why you will want me out of Parliament. I have not offended you. You don't come from the area. You don't know the geographical area of the place. You don't know what I do for the people. And for some reason, you have taken it as a project that you don't want to see me in Parliament. Let me tell you, when we started this 9th Parliament, a colleague approached me and told me that, look, we will get you out of this Parliament.
Even before the case was
started? Even before this case started. And I told him that, my brother, did you see me here during the 8th Parliament? When I lost, did you see me here? I have no business here when I lost the 8th Parliament. I am here because the people asked me to come. But since you say you are going to get me out of here, you are not my God. Let my God speak for me. That's what a colleague tells you.
Is this an ordinary colleague or somebody in leadership?
I'm just telling you, this is what a colleague tells you.
So this,
on their front bench.
I see.
Nyindam has urged for calm in his constituency, expressing confidence that he will prevail in the NDC's intended review application.
I think that if the lawyers will be honest to him, they will know that they will not go for any review. If they will be honest and sincere with him, they will tell him that, please, prepare for 2028. And if you are the choice of the people, they will give you the opportunity. They won't go to waste their time at the Supreme Court because it is clear. The 4-1 I saw today clearly tells me that the law is the law. And the Supreme Court judges have held the integrity of this country to the very highest esteem. Yes, I am from the opposition. Yes, I don't have powers behind me. They look into my face, they look into the case and realize that, look, this young man has a case. Okay, they never decided to give it to the ruling government. That is integrity. That is sincerity. Tells me that any man walking on the streets can also get justice. So if they decide to go for a review, I still believe that the justice I got today, I'll get the same justice. I believe in that. Just when I stepped out of the Supreme Court, I made some calls to some leadership in Midday to make sure that they keep the youth in check.
Okay.
Well, I pray that our call to the constituency, the youth will respect it. And their call to the other side will also respect it. And this will pass very soon. It shouldn't take us more than 4 days.
Now, reacting to the ruling, constitutional lawyer Justice Abdullah noted that Matthew Nyindam cannot yet return to Parliament when the House reconvenes on Tuesday, citing legal and procedural reasons.
My honourable friend would have to employ the tools available by informing the Clerk of Parliament of this. And the information would be through the orders or the judgments that the Supreme Court delivered. It would be prudent that he obtains copies and inform the Clerk of Parliament and indeed the Electoral Commission. Even though that is not his job, the Electoral Commission part is not his job. But it would be helpful if he takes steps to notify them, even though they may not necessarily rely on that, but that would be a good notice for them, just in case they have anything up their sleeves to hold on until official communication from Parliament reaches them.
So he cannot just walk into the House? You
cannot just walk in. At this point, walking in there will be just a matter of celebration and not an official admission by the House of his official presence.
Now, the clock is ticking for the much-anticipated NPP primaries with less than 48 hours for the party's big day. The camps of the various candidates say they are confident of victory. But political analysts say available polls, Kennedy Ejapon and Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia are the clear front-runners. But how is the support in their home regions? We begin from the Ashanti, the home region of Dr. Yahweh Duchum, where over 36,000 NPP delegates are preparing to go to the polls on Saturday. Dr. Duchum says his message of building an economy that ensures livable wages for all employees is essential in reducing underemployment. He believes this can be achieved by enhancing the national economy through improvement in key sectors. My colleague, Nanayo Jema, has been monitoring delegates' responses to the aspirants' messages and joins us on the line. Let's cross over. Nanayo, tell me, what's the situation like in his home region? Well, we'll come back to the Ashanti region, but let me take you now to the Eastern region, where Brian Champon has wrapped up his campaign with a renewed call for unity within the New Patriotic Party as he concluded final engagements in the Ashanti and Eastern region.
Maybe a party na do no. Meaning say ubetu abama me. Nemo misrao say Me pesa 2-3 days ya kai. Oba kame ho. Na ya campaign e more dene na yetimi di winning emphatically. Me wo gidi say abato ono de. Onyankopon be sha ne ho anyonyam. Abasha de ho anyonyam. Enso asante mai mesremo. Monya regional eba be di me victory nanim. Na metimi di tumi no abaya sase so. Menim san cry for kakra wa ha. Eti me kan cry kakra. Me panye fai wa. Saturday o shiki ani nya afo. Me panye fai. Koni wake wo he. Afi komehe wo. Ni wa win 2028 elections. E me panye fai ni nya for shiki e nya ke ha me. Ai go fo wa ha medde kuku na me. Medde kuku na me. Wadam Otu abanu fama me na me medi party nanim asante man ahobrasie mu nyame suro mu obuo mu me nkoto jegu fom me me da me jano me nanom me nuanom me wafanom me nsenom mon kai me Dr. Brian Champo Namuntu abano enfama me. Asante mai buame. Asante mai mumuame. Asante mai mumuame. Na me so me bu asante mai. Asante mai mumuame. Asante mai mumuame. Na me so me bu amo.
We'll bring you more from the other regions, but on to the LDC. In Ayawaso East has approved all 5 aspirants, including late MP's wife and Ghana's ambassador to Nigeria, to contest in the upcoming party primaries. Deputy National Director of Elections and IT, Rashid Tanka Computer, who spoke with me earlier on the AM show, outlined the path ahead for the primaries. 5?
Yes.
Okay. All 5 went through?
Yes.
Okay, there have been concerns raised about our ambassador to Nigeria contesting.
Well, yes.
Did he go through the vetting?
He went through the vetting. Our guidelines, the guidelines we are using currently, doesn't debar him from contesting. I mean, a decision as to whether he stays or not doesn't rest with the party. The party cannot take such decision to stop an appointee of government from contesting. So based on that, he's qualified. It's left with the government to decide as to what to do with him. For the party, we have no issues with that. Yesterday, it went on beautifully. 5 of them, all of them appeared before the panel. I mean, after assessing them, we realized that the 5 of them were all qualified.
Okay.
And they balloted. Now we are out with the notice of pool. It's out in the constituency, indicating their positions and all that. So we are ready.
I'll take you back to the NPP, where one of its candidates, Dr. Yao Osei Edichum, has been speaking in the last few hours to the Big Day.
Insults, I will be your unifier. I'm the one who can unify the party. But when you elect me, nobody's going to say because of what he said and how he insulted my leader, the person that I loved and voted for, I'm not going to follow him. So that is something good that I will assure you that we'll have a unified party going into the 2028 election. To my brothers and sisters, working people of Ghana, I believe that our nation must ensure that workers have livable wages. Livable wages are wages that take care of you and your family. You're able to take care of your family, pay fees and other things, and be able down the line to own a car, own a home. That is what happens in most countries that are emerging out of poverty. So livable wages is something that we need to work on as a nation. And I'm going to champion it, and I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do. Ghanaians must prosper. And we need to increase productivity for the prosperity to happen. But there can be no increase in productivity without providing you the avenue and opportunity to be trained and to train yourself well, giving you vouchers so that you can gain skills. 21st century skills in the IT field, for example, is something that my government will pursue. Workers will be given the opportunity to train themselves well so that they can advance themselves and add value to wherever has been assigned to them at their place of work. I think I've also alluded to the fact that we have to eradicate poverty from the face of this country. Other countries have done it. If it's a very important goal and we work on it, we'll be able to do it. The idea that close to about 40% of the people are not working, or some who are working are still poor, I think it's something that should concern us, and we need to do everything possible to eradicate poverty from the face of this country. Thank you.
Let's extend Ghana's election further. Now, Ghana's electoral system is under renewed scrutiny this afternoon, with critics pointing to high filing fees, soaring campaign costs, and inducements for delegates as key barriers shutting out minorities, especially women and young people, from political participation. Now, a new report by the Gender Center for Empowering Development highlights that political parties often favor financially powerful aspirants, leaving capable but less resourced candidates at a disadvantage. Now, this trend, the report warns, raises serious questions about fairness, equity, and inclusivity in Ghana's democracy.
For many aspiring politicians, the dream of serving is hindered not by lack of competence, but by a financial gatekeeping system that tilts the playing field. Women and youth in particular bear the brunt, struggling to compete with candidates backed by deep pockets. Research by the Gender Center for Empowering Development, GenCed, examined internal party primaries and national elections during the 2024 cycle, using interviews with executives from the NPP, NDC, CPP, and emerging parties. The findings show that the cost of contesting party primaries remains a major barrier. Such costs effectively exclude candidates without strong financial backing, disproportionately affecting women, youth, and first-time aspirants.
When I contested as the vice chairperson, I think I paid 30,000, and I asked myself, 30,000, a party that is not near power, let me put it that way, and I'll go and put that kind of money into an election. What am I going to get from it?
Beyond the fees that you pay, beyond the your campaign day-to-day, be it security, food, your team's volunteers, the hidden cost is the personal obligation that your voters or delegates will put on you. And some of these things, even if you say that in the rural areas, the personal issues or support required is mainly on funerals and weddings, etc. Even in urban areas, you still have those same demands.
Aspirants backed by these power brokers often gain a decisive advantage, leaving others at a disadvantage regardless of competence or public support. Dr. Michael Akagbo, Programs Manager at the Center for Democratic Development, warns that these practices pose serious risks to Ghana's democracy.
By law, candidates and parties are supposed to file their returns with the EC to show that this is where the monies they have spent have come from. As we stand here, do they even do it? Is it even enforced? Do we even know where the money is coming from? If we don't know where the money is coming from, then who do we know? Who are we electing to government? Okay, so if I'm a drug kingpin, and then I fund your party, and I'm not declaring, you're not declaring where the money is coming from, How do I know that you are beholden to me and you owe the debt to me when you come as a president or an elected member of parliament?
Ghana has held regular elections since 1992 with 9 general elections, including 2024. While the country is praised for democratic stability, the report argues that access to political office is still influenced by money and patronage, not merit. Abigail Amponsa, Director of Gender, Youth and Persons with Disabilities at the EC, says addressing these gaps will require broader legal and constitutional reforms.
The issue about the Electoral Commission having strategies to mainstream gender in political parties. There's one thing we have to get very clear. The Electoral Commission is a referee. There's a game between the political parties. It all boils down to reviewing the Constitution to give the Electoral Commission more powers to be able to function in some of the ways we expect.
Without deliberate reforms to remove financial, political and cultural obstacles, the report warns that Ghana risks undermining its democratic process.
And we are your election headquarters. Still in the news today, Foreign Minister Samuel Ablakwa has painted a grim picture of the growing threat of terrorism in the sub-region as part of efforts to rally a concerted response from West African leaders. On average, the minister says 8 terror attacks are recorded daily across Ghana's neighboring countries, resulting in the deaths of at least 44 people each day. In response, Ghana has convened a high-level consultative forum involving ministers and heads of states who are expected to conclude deliberations on remedial measures on Friday. Now, addressing the opening session of the conference, Samuel Ablakwa called for pragmatic and coordinated measures to resolve the crisis.
We embark on a journey to redefine how the sub-region confronts the multidimensional threats to our stability, prosperity, and cohesion. We meet at a time of considerable anxiety. On the average, there are 8 terror attacks every day in our region. That on the average claims 44 lives every single day. The epicenter of global terrorism has moved from the Middle East to our region. We now account for at least 47 to 59% of all recorded global terrorism. The grave statistics continue that over the last 15 years, our region has seen an increase by 1,266% in terror attacks. And the death toll has also gone up by a staggering 2,860%. That is the grim reality we face. On my way here this morning, I received a call from my counterpart in Niger, indicating that they will not be able to join us this morning as they had originally planned because of an attack at their airport in Niamey last night, making traveling to Ghana impossible.
Meanwhile, the Minister for the Interior says terrorism is reaching alarming levels, with extremist groups exploiting the fragile state of West Africa through sustained attacks on several countries. He warned of the risk of a possible spillover into stable democracies such as Ghana.
Extremism in the Sahel, piracy in the Gulf of Guinea, trafficking across porous borders, and the silent erosion of resilience in our communities are threats that transcend national borders. They remind us that no state can stand alone. Our strength lies in unity, in pooling our wisdom, and in the courage to act together. It is totally unacceptable that we do not have an agreed regional vehicle to address this trans-border challenge. And that is why we have convened this meeting as leaders determined to find a lasting solution to this threat. We meet at a time when the sub-region faces deep structural pressures: violent extremism, terrorism, instability, climate stress, food insecurity, and youth unemployment converge, creating vulnerabilities that extremists and criminal groups exploit. Intelligence, therefore, cannot be confined to kinetic threats alone. It must encompass the broader picture: the economic corridors that sustain trade, the border communities whose livelihoods depend on cross-border movement, and the social fabric that binds our societies.
Joining me via phone to explain more on the situation is security analyst Richard Kumado. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So, Minister Ablakwa has described 8 terror attacks daily across Ghana's neighboring countries, with at least 44 deaths per day. From a security perspective, how realistic is the risk of this threat spilling over into countries such as Ghana?
Definitely, the West Africa zone has become a major hub for terror attacks for over 7 years now, and it's a known fact. And as many of the risk assessments we've done across the West Africa region, it keeps on coming up as one of the major threats that nations will have to deal with. I believe from where the foreign minister left off, and for many of the things he has said, the collective efforts of the countries within the West Africa zone, if they put their heads together and they put their houses in order, I believe they will mobilize themselves and put up a strong fight against terror attacks. Other than that, it's a threat that is real. The attacks are visible, and the impact of these attacks can be manageable, but sometimes it gets out of hand.
Well, we assume that these countries or this high deliberation will come up with some solutions, but in very worst case scenarios where they do not cooperate, what can Ghana do to insulate itself?
One of the things we do in this country, all of us within the security management zone, is to ensure that intelligence gathering go way beyond overt and covert operations. The other one we do is also to ensure that public safety challenges are addressed on time. The other one we do is also to ensure that security assurances are provided within the respected areas of this country. Then the last one is to work with the security agencies and make sure that national sovereignty guarantees are achieved within timelines. And this is what some of us have done for all these years. We travel across the country on many of these risk assessment exercises. What the police have also done, which is also good, is to establish what we call the frontiers, the intelligence frontiers across all our borderlines, that whatever comes in, they are able to release the information and they become the first point of intelligence gathering. Then the BNI comes in and all the other security agencies come in. We will plead and we will ask for support from everybody, particularly our media houses, that when you see something, say something. And irrespective of how you say it and whichever platform you use it, it makes life easier for some of us who watch the national security space, and we will take it up appropriately.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the news today. Richard Kumado is a security analyst. Now, on to other stories this afternoon. We'll bring you more stories shortly, but before that, Ghana is on track to exit its International Monetary Fund program before the end of 2026, a move expected to restore fiscal space for concessionary financing and accelerate public investment across the country. Education Minister Haruna Iddrisu disclosed this during a visit to the $90 million University of Engineering and Agricultural Sciences construction site at Bunsu in the Eastern region. The project, funded in partnership with South Korea, commenced in 2022 but stalled following Ghana's debt exchange program, which constrained government spending and delayed payments to contractors. Briefing the media, Mr. Iddrisu expressed confidence that all outstanding obligations required to complete the university project will be met as government transitions out of the IMF program.
To me strongly that one of the most friendly concessionary financing is that which comes from the Korean Economic Development Corporation Fund, the EDC, and he's happy. We are just preparing to walk out of the IMF. I'm sure on or before the end of August or end of this year, we should be out. But we are sure that the Honorable Minister for Finance will honor the outstanding $9.8 million and the cumulative $28.6 million.
Meanwhile, Haruna Iddrisu also cut the sod for the construction of the new ICT and Science Lab at Pope John Senior High School as part of the government's initiative to honor the late Defense Minister, Dr. Omade Boama. The intervention comes amid concerns over inadequate infrastructure at the school.
We will build an ICT science laboratory here and name it posthumously after Dr. Omade Boama. If you recall your last speech and prize giving ceremony, you're a very sincere person. So when you invited him to the podium, before he spoke, you saw him calling me. He said, Harun, what can I tell Pope John? What can I promise them? So whatever he said that day, to his honor and memory, we will honor it for him. This will continue to produce the like of him. So if it was an ICT science laboratory, I would have cut the sword right now. I'm going to go and revise part of the GET fund allocations and make some money available for this to start in the 2026 formula of the GET fund. That we have a dedicated ICT, well-resourced, not what I saw where the students are learning ICT with a notebook, without access to the access device of a computer. And he served as Minister for Communication. He succeeded me in that particular portfolio. We worked together very closely until those sad, tragic moments. So.
Well, Joy News research is learning that Ghana's cocoa regulator, Cocoa Board, is rethinking its cocoa financing strategy after a shift away from international syndicated loans is leaving some farmers unpaid and raising concerns about the sustainability of the 2025-2026 crop season, with global cocoa prices falling and international buyers unwilling to pay upfront. Thousands of farmers now face delays in payment, putting investments in the next harvest at serious risk. There's more in the following report.
Ghana is the world's second largest cocoa producer, but behind the global rankings, cracks are beginning to show in how the industry is financed. For more than 3 decades, Cocoa Board relied on syndicated loans from international banks to pre-finance cocoa purchases. That money was used to pay license buying companies, who in turn paid farmers promptly for their beans. But from the 2024-2025 season, Cocoa Board scrapped that system, opting instead for a new self-financing model that shifted the burden to international traders, requiring them to pay upfront for cocoa shipment. That decision is now under strain. Global surplus has driven down cocoa prices by around 20% so far this year, after a 50% drop last year, leaving traders reluctant to make those advance payments. The result, cocoa piling up unsold and farmers waiting months to be unpaid. Here is a farmer sharing his audio.
To be honest with you, we are suffering. So we are pleading with you to speak with government to pay us the monies from November immediately. Because of that, we didn't even enjoy the Christmas. This is the first time we are experiencing such a delay. Every year, we get our monies.
Meanwhile, President of the Concerned Farmers Association, Nana Oboadie Bonsu, after confirming the delay in payment, indicated that this is no fault of government.
A lot of young people that engage in this cocoa production are now disappointed that there's no money and money hasn't come yet. Some of us, we have our brothers and sisters that they are not even well, that we to pay some of their bills at the hospital. We need to give money also at the end of the day to purchase a few things for our buildings that is not being completed. Others, our kids are in school that we need to buy some few things for them. So we will not say that it is the Ghana's problem or whatever, or that we have heard, and then to our findings and other things, the national market, it is dropped.
Joy News Research is also learning that Cocoa Board and the Ministry of Finance are in talks over difficult choices, either lowering the price paid to farmers or introducing subsidies to bridge the gap between domestic prices and weaker international markets. For now, Cocoa Board has paused purchases with about 150,000 tons of cocoa reportedly stuck with farmers, even as the regulator has bought just 500,000 tons out of a 650,000 ton target for the season. As negotiations continue, farmers remain caught in the middle waiting, uncertain and increasingly exposed. Anthony Menu, Joy News Research.
Focusing on climate, the dry wind sweeps across the wide plains of Ghana's Savannah region, carrying with it the dust of a land growing weaker each year. Once green farmlands now crack under the sun's heat, while rivers and streams dry up long before the next rainy season arrives. Here, the changing climate is forcing people into desperate choices and turning neighbors into rivals. Across the region, rising temperatures, erratic rainfall, and the gradual southward march of the Sahara are systematically destroying farmlands and water sources. The result is growing tension between local farmers and migrant headsmen, each struggling to survive on shrinking land. What was once a peaceful coexistence is now a battle for survival. Every acre of land is precious. So, when large herds of cattle arrive, trampling crops in search of pasture and water, the result is anger and catastrophic loss.
For the headsmen, migration is no choice. It is survival. Their cattle are their livelihood and their culture. As pastures in the Sahel dry up, many are forced to migrate south into Ghana, driving conflict. The General Secretary of Fulbe in Ghana, Yakubu Musa Bari, argues that the herders are victims of circumstance.
It's because of the climate change. If the climate change, even if the herdsman did not move the animals themselves will move. I get to look for a pasture and look for water to take.
But when herds enter farmlands, farmers see it as an invasion, an attack on their sweat and their survival. These encounters lead to heated confrontations, destruction of property, and sometimes the tragic loss of life.
The year 2020, the Fulani man has to cudgel my uncle in the farm, in his grandma's farm, and he became paralyzed and died after 3 years. You see what the Fulani herdsmen are doing to us. I think it's not so good for us in Savannah region.
On the other side, Musa Jallo, a migrant herdsman from Mali, speaks of his desperate journey. For Jallo, the open land is meant for all. His way of life is a tradition passed down through generations. To stop the cycle of misunderstanding, the Savannah Regional Peace Council, led by a Catholic priest, created a mixed mediation community-level dialogue platform.
Mostly, herders took their cattle to the farms in the night, so midnight or night grazing. Galvanize the, proposal for dialogue, engagement, and also the formation of the mixed mediation committees.
His efforts later yielded something positive at Makuma, Malue, Madari and Tinga communities, where community members were able to pay back 94,000 Ghana cedis to the farmers as compensation. While crucial, dialogue alone cannot fix a problem rooted in land scarcity and climate change. The intervention must be structural. The only consensus-driven, long-term solution to end open grazing and prevent further bloodshed is the establishment of controlled, modern livestock ranching facilities. The Savannah Regional Minister Salisu Bey Awuribe strongly supports the model.
Private investor can come, be able to provide that facility, of course for a fee, for the number of cattle that will be under his or her control. And this can be another way, because when you provide, you must provide water. The animals, apart from grazing, must have water to feed. Some wells may be dug or some dams may be constructed.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Claire R4I Opportunities Fund.
You're watching News Today. Michelle comes up with business updates.
You're welcome back. I am Michelle Ejekum. Let's settle for some business stories. Now, President John Mahama has affirmed that the establishment of Gold Board has positioned Ghana to take full control over the export of gold from the country. This, he believes, has helped the country to export about 104 tons of gold from the small-scale sector. In 2025, the president made the disclosure in a keynote address to the opening of the 2026 Africa Trade Summit in Accra. Here is more.
The Trade Summit by the African Trade Chamber has assembled key African business leaders and policymakers to deliberate on trade integration and value addition on raw materials from the continent. Keynote speaker, President John Mahama, noted that Ghana is taking the lead to benefit from its natural resource base. He disclosed that the establishment of the Gold Board has positioned the country to increase earnings from natural resources, especially gold.
We're exercising greater sovereignty over our natural resources. The establishment of the Ghana Gold Board has given us greater control over our gold exports. In 2024, total gold exports from the small-scale mining sector was said to amount to 63 tons. Of this volume, the foreign exchange repatriation accounted for only about 40 tons of the exported gold. 23 tons of forex did not come back. Since the establishment of the Gold Board in April 2025, exports from the small-scale mining sector to date have increased to 104 tons, with 100% of the foreign exchange repatriated through our central bank.
Minister of Trade, Industry and Agribusiness, Elizabeth Ofosu-Jare, charged investors to see Africa as a global market opportunity for business growth.
Ultimately, the private sector must see African industrialization not as charity, but as a major global business opportunity, driven by a market of 1.4 billion people, a median age of 19, and vast potential for sustainable returns.
Executive Chair of the African Trade Chamber, Benedicta Lassie, told Joy Business that more action is needed to solve the challenges of the continent.
We have recognized that the trajectory of the continent is one that requires a lot more action than just conversations about the challenges we have. And so this platform is really a convening of the industry leaders that would lead Africa's industrialization path.
The two-day summit is under the theme Financing Africa's Industrialization, Developing Industrial Value Chains, Benefit and Market Integration.
Meanwhile, chairman of the advisory board of the African Trade Chamber, Sir Samjona, has charged African leaders to engineer policies to make the continent selfish in the development agenda. Speaking at the opening of the African Trade Summit, the business mogul said that the vast resources on the continent's raw materials and minerals should not be exported without value addition.
Ladies and gentlemen, Africa, with its 1.4 billion people, with its vast resources,
and youthful dynamism is no weakling. We are the emerging force that can redefine the table, or we will risk being served upon it. This is the moment for Africa to be selfish, unapologetically so, boldly selfish in pursuing our interests. No more deference to distant agendas, no more exporting raw material potential while importing finished dependency. Selfish means prioritizing Africa first, beneficiating our minerals on African soil, processing our agriculture into global grants, manufacturing pharmaceuticals that secure our health sovereignty. Selfish means demanding fair terms in every deal, rejecting exploitation disguised as aid, and leveraging our collective weight to negotiate from strength. Kani urged middle powers to stop pretending about the other's flaws, to name realities and act. Africa, let us name it. The old world profited from our fragmentation. The new world demands our unity. Let's be selfish, yes, but in a way that uplifts all Africans, creating jobs that dignify, wealth that recirculates, and futures that inspire.
And that's all for business. I am Michelle Ejekum. The small business news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Sports is up next.
We bring you sports now on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Joy FM's big workout is just about 2 days away with a strong aerobics focus to promote healthy living. The free event begins at 6 a.m. at the Legon Stadium on Saturday, January 31, featuring a brisk walk through parts of East Legon, followed by aerobics. Organizers say the aim is to encourage regular exercise as lifestyle-related diseases rise. Roads Minister Gavins Kwame Agboja is one of the key personalities urging Ghanaians to take advantage to improve their health.
I want to congratulate the Joy FM for this workout thing. All of us should be finding space to do some physical exercise to avoid some of the diseases, lifestyle diseases we get. So I think it's a very good thing, and I wish all of us would take a cue from that and get some time to do some physical exercise. It will help a lot. So
on the third day, participants are expected to assemble at the University of Ghana Stadium at exactly 6 o'clock. And we move through all the way up to UPSA, then to Baolese traffic, then inside Okponglo and back to the stadium where the aerobic session will be happening. About 10,000 people are expected to grace this year's event, which is designed to ensure that we start the year 2026 with a very healthy lifestyle. And just by way of information, CAF 2 has sanctioned Senegal's head coach, Papi Thiaw, suspended him for 5 official matches, and they've also fined him for $100,000. Meanwhile, the Football Association has been fined $615,000 for the player's decision to walk off the pitch. For that of Morocco, they have been fined $315,000. Whilst Hakimi has been fined $100,000 and suspended for 2 matches. That's your sports for now. Head on to myjoyonline.com and read some more sports stories. We appreciate your company.
Thank you for staying. I am Loy Shalademi. Let's get into our showbiz stories. While Afrobeat dominates today's soundscape, there was a time when reggae carried Ghana's most profound conversations on love, justice, faith, and African identity. This Throwback Thursday, we shine the spotlight on Shasha Mali, one of Ghana's most consistent reggae voices whose music fused roots, rhythm, and consciousness long before reggae found its way back into the mainstream. His sound spoke to the soul, grounded in African pride and social reflection, and continues to resonate with generations of listeners.